Our next topic is something that Sports Illustrated put out last week. In 2019, Sports Illustrated put out an article titled, "Which NFL teams will win the Super Bowl in the next 5 years?" And they had their entire panel of writers.
Who did this, Sports Illustrated?
Sports Illustrated.
They have a panel of writers still?
I guess they have enough because they did have a panel of writers contribute to this one
Depends
today.
on how many people
But
you're talking about.
it depends on how big of a panel
Panel
it
of
is.
writers, that's 3 or 4.
They've got a couple that I really respect, and the rest of them, nah.
But in 2019, when they asked to do this exercise, 8 of their 10 writers predicted the Kansas City Chiefs to win at least one Super Bowl
in the next 5
in the
years.
next 5 years.
Oh, that's respectable.
3 of them picked multiple Super Bowls for the Kansas City Chiefs in the next 5 years. Nobody. This is this year's results. Don't take this yet, Steve. This is this year's. We'll get to that in a sec. Drop it. Nobody picked the Rams, who won a Super Bowl. Nobody picked the Bucks, who won a Super Bowl. But 2 writers picked the Browns in 2019 to win one in the next 5 years, and they didn't.
Okay.
So now they're rerunning the premise back.
So they did this back in when?
In 2019.
Okay.
And
And 2 people picked the Browns?
2 people picked the Browns, yes.
Okay. They should have doubled down on it.
So the list of writers and panelists have changed.
Okay. It's 5
But
years
it's the
later.
same exact exercise in the next 5 years. So 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Okay.
Who wins and how many will they win? They asked their writers, and these were the results. And if you want to take that graphic back, you can take it back up. 10 people picked the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 writers. 2 picked the Chiefs to win 2 Super Bowls, but everyone picked the Chiefs to win at least 1 Super Bowl over the next 5 years.
Okay.
The Lions, second most,
That's
with
crazy.
6 projected Super Bowls over the next 5 years. The Niners with 5, the Chargers with 4, the Texans with 3.
The Chargers.
The Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Vikings with 2. The Rams and the Dolphins each had 1 Super Bowl to their name. The Browns were in among the list of the rest of the NFL that nobody picked to win a Super Bowl over the next 5 years. So, Jason, Tyvis, the question I'm asking you, did the Sports Illustrated panel of writers get this right, or will the Browns win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? Tyvis, start us off.
It is, I'm going to be honest with you. If the Lions win one before the Browns, I am going to feel some type of way. Because I always thought that we would do it before them because of the history. You know, at some point, it was a point in time where the Browns were dominant. You know, with the Lions, it seemed like they were always close but never there. And fast forward till now, yeah, the Lions team is a really good team. They got a really good coach. But when I see them play, I don't look at them like the Browns can't do that. Like this has been the first few years where I've looked at the Browns like they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So at some point, it just all has to come together now. I think Jason talks about it with the cast, how you feel like you're right there. You just need to tweak 1 or 2 little things, and then you're there. And that's why I feel like the Browns are. And that's why I thought this offseason was so interesting, to get rid of your offensive coordinator, to get a new OC in there, to go make a trade to go get a wide receiver. You know, it seems like every year the things that we complain about the most, that offseason they always address it. You know, 2 years ago it was the defense and the D tackles. They fixed that. Last year we complained about the wide receivers and sometimes the play calling, and they fixed that. So if they continue to do that in the next 5 years, I don't see how they don't. Now, granted, a lot of it has to do with your quarterback situation, but I always tell you, I think that, and we hear Wyatt Teller coming out and saying it, you know, he has it in him. He has to just do it consistently. And if we see him for 17 games and beyond that, I think they have a good a chance as anybody to win a Super Bowl. So I would have at least put them down for 1.
Jason?
I don't know if their window extends to 5 years. I think it's 2 years. If they don't do it in the next 2 years, I don't think they're going to do it in the 3 that follow. Myles Garrett's 29, Nick Chubb's 28. We know about the Deshaun situation, and he has not, to this point, lived up to the contract. I think it's really a 2-year window for the Browns. I don't know if they don't do it then, I don't know what would give you faith to believe that as these guys in their prime get older, Amari Cooper in the last year of his deal right now, the Browns haven't shown to this point any inclination to extend him. I don't know what would make you believe that they would be closer 4 years from now than they are right now. The window is right now. So and from that instance, I get why they say probably not for 5 years, because if you look at teams that are dominant right now, like I wouldn't pick the Lions to win one right now, but I feel like their window is longer, their runway is longer than what the Browns is. The Browns runway, believe it or not, has been the last couple of years. Odell, Jarvis Landry, at one time you thought Baker maybe could be, and then clearly he wasn't. Now when you get Deshaun, you think, okay, that is, and then last year clearly wasn't. Their window they're already sort of in the middle and toward the back end, in my belief, of where their window is, where the Lions are just sort of entering theirs. So while the Chiefs are the Chiefs right now, could the Browns win a Super Bowl this year? Yeah, okay. I could be talked into that, but they wouldn't be my favorite to win it right now. And I just think as you progress through the next 5 years, the odds diminish.
Yeah.
The window is right now.
I guess when you say it like that, I think because of giving off a recency, are you saying that because you don't trust them drafting?
I believe that they have elite talent in the prime of their career right now. And I don't believe them to be in a position to get another Myles. They're not going to be able to draft another Myles Garrett over the course of the next 5 years, unless things go drastically wrong or unless they get really lucky.
And part of the reason a team like Detroit is set up so well over the next 5 years, and I agree to Jason's point, like, if you're asking me this year who has a better chance to win the Super Bowl, the Browns or the Lions, I would pick the Browns. Over the next 5 years, you look at the best young talent in football, the under 25-ish talent, the next crop that you're going to lean on.
Guys,
for the next 5-year period, the Lions, real quick, and I'm probably forgetting guys off the top of my head. Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sewell, I think Amon-Ra is 25 by himself. Jamison Williams. Laporta. That's 6 guys who are legit elite young level talent. The Browns in that under 25 group, you have Emerson, JOK, and then you got question marks. So, like, to Jason's point.
Who else do they have that's under 25?
We just went over this.
We did the 25 under 25 list. The Browns had nobody on it.
We only had JOK and MJ. That was our
Nobody was on the list.
No one made the list. Those were the 2 you could. DeJuan Jones, if you really want to stretch it, but he's not at the level. Yeah, so like they're, to Jason's point,
and almost all those guys were first-round picks, if you remember back.
Exactly, and part of the reason they haven't replenished it is because they haven't had first-round picks as part of the
But they also drafted correctly.
Those teams hit on their first round.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Most of that 25 under 25, I forget the exact number. It was like
18 first-round picks.
18 were first-rounders, and the Browns haven't had first-rounders.
Yeah. So to Jason's point, I agree with the fact that their window is this year or next year more than the latter 3 years of this 5-year window for the experiment. If Deshaun gets back to being Deshaun, though, over the next 2 years, while you still have Myles Garrett, who should be in his prime, if Nick Chubb gets back to being Nick Chubb, you should have a balanced and dangerous offensive attack. Their offensive line may not be elite still, but it's certainly in the top half, top 10 of the league, in my opinion. Their defense, and Bo always makes the case defenses don't carry over year to year. You and him went back and forth on it yesterday, Tyvis. They have all the talent in the world on that defensive end, so I expect it to be a good defense. There's no reason the Browns shouldn't be able to compete for a Super Bowl this year, next year, and if Deshaun's Deshaun, the entire time he's in a Cleveland Browns uniform, because that is the one consistent thing you need in a Super Bowl contender. AFC, NFC, AFC North, NFC South, doesn't matter. You need a top-tier quarterback. So that's the case for the Browns. If you wanted to make the case against the Browns, it goes with the fact that, A, I think the 2-year window's a little more realistic than a 5-year. Mm-hmm. And look at the AFC right now. And are you going to pick in that 2-year span the Browns and whatever we have from a legitimate information data point on Deshaun Watson over Mahomes, Jackson, Lamar, Burrow, Allen, the entire gauntlet of AFC quarterbacks, and that's the unknown. So to answer the actual exercise, will they win one in the next 5 years? I certainly think it's possible. I don't think I'd bet yes if it was a simple yes or no question.
How many playoff games has Deshaun played in?
3. He's 1 and 2.
1 and 2. So at least he got some experience. I like the chances. I hear y'all on the 2-year thing. I think that ultimately, obviously Deshaun plays the major factor in all of this. But even if they did have to move off of Deshaun, it would come down to that pick. And if they hit that pick and it's a good quarterback, that window is still there. So that's why but I understand why people would be hesitant to that, because our draft picks.
Also, you're banking on what should be a mid to late first round pick Are you gonna hit a franchise quarterback with that
They
pick?
would,
Like,
if it's a dude, you trading up for that. So
fair enough, but like in a 5-year span, that's a big bank or a big hypothetical risk to take to then get to the reward you're trying to get to. It's not impossible. I'm not saying the Browns have no chance to win a Super Bowl outside of this 2-year window. I just think they're better suited with the current roster they have, based on the age of their better players.
I guess I gotta see it. I gotta see it this year. It's hard to say because it's so many different variables that we didn't get to see last year. I would have to see. I gotta see how this season plays out. They need to ask me this after the season.
Let me ask you this, Jason. So when they did this in 2019, two writers gave the Browns a vote.
I totally understand why.
So you think it's more realistic or more reasonable? The logic made more sense to vote for them in 2019 than it does for now, based off the 5-year stretch from 2019 to 2024 as opposed to 2024 to 2028.
Let's make the Lions comparison. The Browns were the Lions in 2019. That was the Browns in 2019.
Point, yeah.
When you look at, hey, they've got Baker Mayfield, this hot young quarterback. They finally solved their quarterback issues. Hey, they've got a young Nick Chubb. They've got Myles Garrett in his prime.
Njoku.
So that looked in 2019. You could make a much stronger argument that the Browns would win a Super Bowl over the next
And you're
5
projecting
years.
Baker to continue to progress after that
Absolutely.
rookie season. Yeah, that's a good point.
The Lions should have been in the Super Bowl. Like, they completely blew that. That's another reason why I see why people vote them to win, because they literally had the 49ers beat,
there.
and they blew what? It was a 21-point lead, right? I want to say it was 20.
It was 3-score. I think it was 17. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, well
But it was a 3-score lead.
Yeah, they blew a
sure,
3-score league, and then if they do go against Kansas City, you remember Week 1 last year, they beat Kansas City in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Travis Kelce didn't play, but to go in Arrowhead and win like that, you had the confidence going into that game. If you were to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you wouldn't have been scared of the moment.
Hey, Steve, will you pull back up the graphic of all the teams that they picked? Before we wrap up this topic, let's go through the teams that they picked to win 1 or 2, and let's see if we would pick the Browns over those specific teams to win one in the next 5 years. The Dolphins, better chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, Miami or Cleveland? I'd take the Browns. Tyreek Hill's getting up there once he's off the team. I don't know what it is.
Isn't he done like in 2 years?
Tyreek?
Yeah.
That, and I just
He
don't
said
trust
he was
Tua.
playing this contract and he was retiring. So, but
Well, he's got 12 kids to take care of.
I could take the
I would take the Browns.
I take the Browns because there's something about the Dolphins in cold weather where
Yeah.
they just don't show up, and obviously in January everything is cold. So
Yeah, I could take the Browns
I take
over.
the Browns.
The Rams. Thoughts on the Rams?
See, this was tricky because this depends on Matthew Stafford. Once Stafford is gone, it's gonna look completely different.
But I feel like they could be a team that could potentially get a Dak Prescott or another big quarterback to come do exactly what Matt Stafford did a few years ago and be a plug-and-play veteran.
Well, I would have to see that.
I mean, you're projecting 5 years out. That's why no one picked the Rams in 2019, and then they got Stafford in 1, so that's the whole part of the exercise.
I
think
like
it's a
that
toss-up.
team. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Cooper Kupp will probably be gone in the next 5 years, but
Kyron,
Puka,
Nakua.
Kyron, and Blake Corum.
Yeah.
You could talk me into that. That defense, I got to see what that defense look like now
Yeah.
that Donald is gone.
Yeah.
But I take the Browns right now. Today, I take the Browns over the Rams.
Maybe this is bias. I'm probably with you on that.
I would too. It's close. I would go
No, it's
55,
very
45.
close. Yeah.
Minnesota got 2 different votes.
That one's a little surprising.
I guess you have to be banking on J.J.
I'm about
McCarthy
to say,
turning out to be a stud.
Yeah.
I would not take Minnesota
I wouldn't either.
over the Browns either.
I don't know.
Based on what?
Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and T.J. Hawkinson. But who do they have on defense? Because Danielle Hunter's gone.
They signed Grenard from Houston to replace him.
Okay.
Don't look at me like I'm just telling you. You're looking at me like
I'm trying to think defensively.
I'm just telling you what they did. Yeah, I don't love their defense.
I don't know why
don't
they
think
got
they're better.
2.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Now, granted, they got real quick to clarify. They
Yeah.
got 1 vote from 2 different writers.
I don't
So,
care. They shouldn't have got none.
Rosenberg's good. I've never heard of that other dude.
Plum, Plein.
Yeah, I mean,
Rosenberg's
Breer and
legit.
Rosenberg are the 2 biggest names. On
And Bishop.
I don't
Oh,
know.
Bishop, yeah.
But
I like JJ in that offensive scheme and Kevin O'Connell's scheme, but
How can you pick them to win a Super Bowl?
that's the part that I don't understand.
I guess they're banking on a rookie quarterback contract for the next 5 years. They have money to put a team around them, but I would not pick Minnesota over Cleveland either.
Like, I don't even think they're gonna win their division.
See, I would put the Packers on there.
I would put the Packers over
I
them
think
too.
the Packers have a better shot than the Vikings to win a Super Bowl. In the next 5 years.
That's the line for me right there. Those three teams that we talked about, you could convince me to put the Browns on the list over those three teams. Nobody else on that list.
Ty, would you draw the line right there?
I
as
agree
well?
with him actually.
I do too.
What's with the Chargers? What's your thought with the Chargers?
Yeah, you know what?
That's counting on Herbert. That's counting on Harbaugh to fix Herbert.
Yeah.
They kind of snuck. I didn't see them up there.
Do you believe that?
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
And he has success quickly. He's not a not a builder of programs. He's
I mean, in the NFL.
Yeah, okay, yeah. What?
No. But I mean, like, he went to San Francisco.
What?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if that's true or not.
He had good records.
Wasn't it? That's what I'm saying.
He
Like,
had
he
good
comes in
records.
quickly. Yeah.
They didn't win no big games though.
This is 5 years. I'm saying he's got to come in
It
the
took
next 5 years.
him.
Well, Michigan was a different
It took him
proposition.
about 5 years to.
Wasn't it his second year when he took San Francisco to the Super Bowl?
Was it?
I think so.
I gotta see it.
I
gotta see it.
I really like him as a coach. I think he's a really good coach. I know people around here hate him because of Michigan, and that's fine.
I don't even know who you are.
If you
anymore.
take the colors away and look at the
I can't
look at the body of
can't
work.
unsee him.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach. You know he's a good coach. You don't have to admit it. I don't want to put your other job in jeopardy. You don't have to admit it.
You're hilarious.
I said that, not you.
You're hilarious. I don't know. I gotta see it.
All right, when he was at San Diego as a college coach,
Yeah.
7-4 his first year, 11-1 second year, 11-2 second year.
Yeah.
Or 11-1, so 11-1 back-to-back years.
It's good.
Goes to Stanford. 2 years at Stanford, under 500. Third year at Stanford, 8-5. Fourth year at Stanford, 12-1.
Out of curiosity, what years was that? Because I know a guy that played there at that time.
Yeah, Andrew Luck definitely helped.
No.
2007 to 2010.
2010. 2007 to 2010?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Goes
What was
to-
their record? Just out of curiosity. One more time. Sorry. What was their record those years?
In total,
Yeah, 2007, 2008, and into 2010. What was the
he was
record?
29-21.
Okay.
Bad the first 2 years, good the second 2 years. Goes to the NFL. First year in the NFL, 13-3. Lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship game.
That's a good year.
Second year in the NFL, 11-4-1, lose to the Super Bowl. Third year in the NFL, 12-4, lost to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. Then he went 8-8 and dipped.
Does have a good record.
So
He's a good coach.
he's a good coach.
He's
yeah.
a good coach.
Well, we'll see how quickly it happens, but
I mean,
you're banking to put the Chargers on that list. You're banking on Harbaugh being a top 2 or 3 NFL head coach.
to be honest with you,
Which
yes.
I wouldn't do, by the way. I actually don't think they should have that many votes, and
I
I
don't
had them
think
in
it
the
needs-
exact same tier as the Browns.
I don't think he needs to be all of that. When you look
Their
at
roster
their
sucks.
roster's
Their roster
ridiculous.
sucks.
Like they just haven't. They gotta put it together defensively. To Joey, to Khalil, Derwin James.
But Khalil's gone after this year.
Well, then they better hurry up.
Well, that's my
They
like,
better
yeah.
hurry
So
up.
I wouldn't have them at 4. I would put them in the exact same tier as the Browns, if not below the Browns.
But again, that's 4 writers, not 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, 4 writers.
That's just 4 writers who picked them.
So we're all pretty much in agreement there
Yeah.
on where they fit.
Yeah.